Welcome. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Welcome. Thank you
Thank you.
for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I'm starting the session. So, good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Ravneet from Amity Institute of Biotechnology and one of the organizer of this FDP, once again extend a warm welcome to each one of you to day 4, session 1 of this faculty development program on emerging trends in research, writing and publication. This FDP is being organized by the Amity Institute of Biotechnology in association with AIU, AUR, AAGC, Association of Indian Universities, Amity University, Rajasthan, Academic and Administrative Development Center. We sincerely acknowledge the support of AIU, AUR, AAGC for the facilitation. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Dr. Vinay Sharma, sir, Director, Amity Institute of Biotechnology and Dean Research, AUR, for his visionary leadership, continuous encouragement, and invaluable guidance from the inception of this FDP since helping in the organization. We are honored to have with us our esteemed guest speaker, Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, sir, Editor-in-Chief, Vegetos, and former Dean, SVPU, Meerut, and Dr. Amitav Rakshit, Professor, Institute of Agricultural Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. We are delighted to have participation from around 400 participants, and we are also privileged to have amongst us esteemed national and international speakers who have helped us in making this FDP a truly enriching platform. Over the past few days, we have explored key dimensions of research writing, AI tools, and publication ethics. So today's theme focuses on publication strategies, which is crucial for enhancing the quality and the impact of research work. So we now begin with our first session of this day. And our esteemed speaker for this session is Dr. Amitav Rakshit. And sir's topic would be responsible publishing, navigating general choice, avoiding predatory practices. Before inviting sir, I would like to briefly introduce him. Dr. Amitav Rakshit, an IIT Kharagpur alumnus, is presently the professor at the Department of Soil Sciences and Agricultural Chemistry at Institute of Agricultural Sciences, Banaras Hindu University. Sir serves as the student's advisor at the Institute of Agricultural Sciences and also holds the responsibility of Deputy Coordinator of the Nurturing Life Skills Cell at Banaras Hindu University. Sir has worked in the Department of Agriculture, Government of West Bengal, in administration and extension roles. He has visited extensively to Scandinavia, Europe, Africa, UAE, and Bangladesh pertaining to his research work and presentations. He was awarded with TWAS Next Fellow, Biodivision Next Fellow, France, Darwin Now Bursary, British Council, UK, Young Achievers Award, Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute Award, Award of Excellence in Soil Science Education and Research by ISSS New Delhi, and Best Teachers Award at UG and PG level by BHU ICAR, state level by Uttar Pradesh Academy of Agricultural Sciences, and national level by All India Agricultural Students Association in 2009, 2012, 2018, and 2019 respectively. He is serving as the Review College member of British Ecological Society, London, since 2011, a member of Global Forum on Food Security and Nutrition of FAO, Rome, and Commission on Ecosystem Management of IUCN. He has published 178 research papers, 55 book chapters, 28 popular articles, and 3 manuals, and has also authored 41 books for Springer Elsevier and CRC Press. With these few words, I now request Dr. Amitav Rakshit sir to kindly take over the session.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam, for this, welcome speech. I'm extremely grateful to Professor Vinay Sharma sir for this invitation. I'm equally very pleased to know that, many of our BHU alumni is working in your institute and they're doing great. And especially Dr. Subhastava, Dr. Shurya, and Madam. Thank you for your introduction.
BHU is contributing a lot, to the development of academics, I think, all over India, and our university is also fortunate to have a few of them there,
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your appreciation. So, as Madam mentioned that, yes, I am going to speak on some very important issue. And I feel that once Madam said that it is almost more than 400 participants are here. So I do expect that, most of them is going to be maybe in their early or mid career of their research or, academics. And many a time it's very imperative to be exposed with this piece of, introduction related to this Publishing Act and how we need to, go ahead in this very challenging ecosystem where every day we need to refine our knowledge, we need to refine our, learning, and we need to, present those refinement or learning in an innovative way, in a smarter way. And so that makes a sense that we have to be very smart enough because the things are so dynamic. So what was evident yesterday may not be evident today, and what is evident today may not be evident tomorrow. So that dynamism needs to be there. With this context, I'm going to start this particular presentation. So whether my slides are visible?
Yes, sir.
Now it is fine.
Yes, sir, it's fine. You can.
So I'm just going to check whether it is moving because many a time it doesn't move. So whether it is moving.
Sir, as of now,
the
I
first
can
slide only.
the
The first slide only.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that means it's not moving. So it's better. So tell me now it is moving.
No, sir. I think if we can try with the slideshow mode.
Yes, I have done that. You can see my introductory slide, right?
Yes, sir, I can see your introductory slide right now.
Now, the second slide, can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir. Yes.
Okay. That means it is working. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Most
So as ma'am already mentioned that, publishing is something, if you wanted to make yourself relevant in this academic arena, definitely you have to, make your footprint. So definitely you can make your footprint. One of the way maybe you're, publishing your result, publishing your, the finding. But in that process, because, that process, saying that simply publishing is not going to be a very simpler thing. Means there are multiple components in it, and we need to be very cautious. We need to be very, very, authoritative in a sense once we make those decisions. So that navigation is very important. And once I'm talking about those navigation, definitely the choice is very, very, key. The choice is very, very taking a pivotal role in making those decisions. And at the same time, we need to avoid some of those practices, which is not desired, but many a time we may not be, well aware of that what needs to be done and what should be done at this point of time. But once we are able to, make aware of all these, by that time it is too late, right? So now I'm going to start the presentation. As I say, that what basically, because we start with responsible publishing. So if I am saying that responsible publishing, definitely that responsibility is going to matter a lot. It makes a sense. And if I am just, trying to put all of them separately, that why it is, why that particular thing is important and why that responsibility we need to take, because we wanted to disseminate that knowledge that we have generated at our own condition, maybe our own lab, maybe our own institute, university. And we wanted to disseminate and we wanted to make the other parts of the world that, yes, this has been invented, discovered, or reinvented in this part of the world or ecosystem, then definitely once you disseminate it, your institutional visibility is going to be very important in that place, because your institution is going to visible. Once you make your publication, people will came to know or will come to know that yes, Amity is doing this sort of work. And once you do it, definitely you yourself you build your academic reputation, that may be personal as well as collective as well. And at the same time, once you do all of this, you are supporting to this sustainable science ecosystem. And once I'm saying sustainability, what I'm trying to put it over here is that you have to, keep this system running without impairing anything, without deteriorating anything. That means, whether it is a case of publication, whether it is, the case of discovery or invention, whatever it is, right? So, but at the same time, because initially I said we need to, avoid those sort of practices, because once we are going to achieve something very precious, definitely there will be some, multiple things are going to come over there. So there will be traps, and there will be traps of your predatory journals, and which are very, very important at this point of time. And how you will be able to, make out that, yes, these are your predatory journals, because, once you are going for, that sort of publication, definitely there are few yardsticks which will tell you that, this maybe come under the arena of your predatory journals. So the first one is your unrealistically fast acceptance. In most of the cases, you will be able to see that they're going to publish it within 24 hours, within 48 hours, within 72 hours, and many a case within few hours even. And there are hidden or excessive publication fees. It's not, we are going to highlight our invention, our innovation, just by investing some money. Or there are in many cases, initially they may not be able to one may not be able to see those things, but once it goes to that particular process, then there are many hidden as well as I said, excessive publication fees. There are other indicators also. You will be able to visualize those poorly maintained websites. That is also, you will be able to see there will be multiple things which will come into your mind, and that is going to give you some sort of tricks that yes, this is something which is not desired. And fake editorial boards, there will be a huge number of maybe hundreds or maybe 200s of names of scientists. Even many of them may not be aware of that they have been included in that list. And there are lack of indexing. The lack of indexing in a scientific repository, that they are not being indexed in a proper format. And definitely if it is not being indexed, so it is not going to be disseminated properly. And once I'm talking about that indexing, one thing we have to keep it in mind, that it has to be in reputable database. So then only that indexing is important, otherwise it is not. And once I'm giving emphasis on this particular predatory journal statistics, we need to be careful about what is going on across, whether it is the pan world or whether it is in pan India, how things are moving. Globally, almost more than 3,000 journals there that are suspected, and that comes under those sort of predatory practices. Predatories, that means you have enough reasons to believe that there are something which is not happening as per your desirity. And if you look at Asia specifically, particularly India, Pakistan, Indonesia, they are always making that sort of high prevalence, or that sort of there is a huge kingdom of this sort of predatory journals in this part of this globe. And even India, if we come specifically to India, as I already mentioned, that India ranks among the top contributors. And even if you look at within India, the Madhya Pradesh state is going to be, leading that particular case of suspicions, because, there are multiple things that is going to be under that particular sort of criteria. Because, once you will be in those particular committees, which is going to decide that yes, this journal fits in with this particular pro forma or this particular, DOAJ pro forma or this particular UGC pro forma. So definitely you need to be careful about, and you need to go through all those particulars. And now, as I initially said that, yes, publishing is definitely the agenda with every one of us. That means we need to, if we wanted to, be there in this particular landscape, if we wanted to make our footprint visible, definitely, we don't have any other option. So definitely, once we are looking for that particular choice, these are your key criteria. Whether, does it fit that particular journal, align with that particular research in which you are going to, we have already undertaken or you are going to undertake. That is very important. And many a time it is happening that, in most of the cases we don't go through these, and we, many of our efforts are all in vain, because we don't see that sort of alignment unless and until those good journals, they don't have that sort of alignment. They are not going to allow it for the very first step, and there immediately things are going to be, scrapped out. And next is impact and visibility. As I already mentioned that, the what is, where those particular indexing, where it is this journal is making, or what is the impact factor, and how this impact factor is, visible in the, common scientific landscape, and the audience that what is that reach, particularly the radius of influence that it is able to make, and the review process and transparency, whether that sort of, rigid, transparent review process are in, whether you have that sort of accessibility as well. So these are always, once we are going ahead with any sort of publication, definitely we keep all these particular, points in mind always. And and this particular point of time now, open access is becoming more, because of their predominance. Definitely we are looking into it, but definitely there are a few, benefits and risks as well. I'm going to talk about all of them in the next course of slides. Right now, once we have some sort of understanding that yes, what we mean by publication, and what is there within our mind setup, that yes, before we publish, what are those particular criteria that one need to look at, and with reference to those bad practices, those predatory practices, where we stand, and where the global stand it is, and even I mentioned about the state-wise, the thing, right? So if it is, if we connect it, particularly this publication, whether you talk about this publication or our innovations or invention, definitely we have always this thing in mind, because this is a faster India, this is a progressing India, and everybody is looking for that particular 2047. This is our mission, and when 2047 is our mission, definitely it has to be. It has to be with the with the inculcation of these innovation, growth, sustainability, and your digital empowerment. And there we need to be, everybody, whoever is there, whether it is a researcher or an academician, we need to be digitally empowered, and so that we make that particular vision very crystal clear. So, and once we are trying to do it, definitely we have to do it collectively. It's not something individually we cannot make it. Now, if once I'm talking about this particular India, definitely we need to know that how our India is performing. How many academic journals do we have? I have mentioned here very specifically, there are almost 38,000 academic journals are there. How, if you are making that particular publishing books, if you think of that publishing books, and you can see that what is the total number of registered ISBN books that every year we are contributing to this particular ecosystem. And if you can see this with reference to those academic articles, there are more than 64 million academic articles are there. And in each day, articles published per day is almost 5,500. And if it is per minute, it is almost 4. So by the time this particular lecture is going to be completed, by that time there will be another 250 or 300 publication is going to be there in the interface, right? So books published per year is 4 million. Books published per minute is also 8. So, so just to give you these statistics, I wanted to make you aware, this publishing world is, is happening like anything. It's a very, very dynamic science. It's a very, very dynamic world. So there we need to make multiple decisions, and those multiple, we'll be talking about all of them, one by one. Now, if we look at what is the publishing share, because once I mentioned about that particular contribution of books, contribution of articles, so definitely, if you look at that, China is leading the world in the sheer number of scientific publication. We have USA, UK, Germany, so everybody is there, and they are in the top of the list. And once I'm talking about this particular, this top five, definitely it is possible because of that strong research infrastructure. It is because of that particular huge investment in science and technology that makes this particular, huge publishing possible. If you compare it with the developing world or the less developed world, definitely this is going to be very, very important. If we look at with reference to India, per million, it is 138. If you talk about the, the Turkmenistan, this is going to be only 2 per million. So they're not, a huge publisher, with reference to publishing. So once people are going to publish research, they publish research, I already mentioned in the very beginning, for multiple reasons, for multiple objectivity. And many a time those objectivity is self-centric, that is maybe personal, some professional, and others driven by curiosity or impact. But the last one, which I mentioned, that curiosity or impact, that is, something which is not happening with abundance. That is our observation. So I mentioned about this advancing knowledge is very, very important. There is important of career and academic growth. So this is something which we need to, take with a caution, with a caution, and solving real world problems. Definitely, we need to have that sort of, mindset up that yes, what is those existing, second hand research doesn't make much of sense, which is already been conducted, disseminated, demonstrated in the other part of the ecosystem. And if someone is, continuing with that, repeating with that, that doesn't, you are not going to contribute to this scientific ecosystem. This is very important again, because, you may be under peer pressure, because once you are in your career or in advancement, in your mid-career or in your beginning of your career, but at the same time, you wanted to solve some real world problems. So that is also making sense. And personal satisfaction and legacy. There are few institutes, few universities are there. They only publish in a particular, journals. That becomes a legacy. And, if it becomes a legacy, then it is also helpful for the other researchers to take advantage on it. Because, if the reviewer or that particular editor is quite exposed with that particular piece of information, yes, that piece of paper is coming from that part of India or that part of the world or that part of the institute, that definitely makes a sense. And as I said, that collaboration and recognition, everybody is looking for. And once we are looking for that particular part, definitely we need to be very, very careful about. But at the same time, once I mentioned about this definitive objectivity, I have given one very important clue. So what is that clue? Because I said that everybody is looking for that academic recognition, academic appreciation. So under many a time, it may so happen that under peer pressure to publish, many may knowingly choose to publish in suspect journals, in suspicious journals, in predatory journals, to build a long list of publication. If you ask that, how many publications you have, maybe a early researcher in his, maybe after, initially after conducting 3 years of his PhD research, he may have 50, papers. So, that makes some sort of doubt, list of publications to support your academic promotions even. So this is under which I was, giving emphasis on that particular part, that under peer pressure, authors many a time confuse with journals, names and branding features that mimic because, many a time, many of those journals are coming with almost similar name that mimic, and many a time, if you are not going in detail with all details, that what about that particular, editorial practices, whether just like your good agricultural practices, good publishing practices, whether they follow or not. So, this is our responsibility to look into it. And if we are not able to look into it, definitely it is not going to, the purpose is going to be defeated. An opportunity to serve on their editorial boards. As I already mentioned, there are many journals in which you will find that there are, more than 500 editors, more than 100 editors. So, that becomes an indication that, that may be a predatory or maybe a spurious journal. So these vulnerable authors are those who are early in their career. I'm just, emphasizing on this because I understand that there will be many early, in their research field or in academics in their early career. So definitely they have to keep this thing very, put these things in their mind, that lack experience, adequate mentorship. And there must be somebody who has to tell that, yes, you shouldn't, publish here, or you should publish here only, like that, and face pressure to publish. So these are very important points, and this clue has given us that particular point of that, that propagation, that mushrooming of these particular predatory journals in this part of the world. So as I already mentioned, just to just to repeat that particular thing once again, to make you aware that, India is topping in the list of that particular predatory channels, that journal that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't contribute to the cost of science, that doesn't, create some sort of ecosystem, which is a sustainable science ecosystem. That is not. So you can see, even United States, you can see, that predatory journals, the percentage share is also very high. And in Africa, things are always, worst in many a time. Look at this. And these things are getting complicated day by day. Even in the very present, this year, there are a few yardsticks that even UGC, the Ministry of Education, they have taken into consideration. There are multiple cases that is coming up, that is being surfaced, that, the papers are getting retracted. The patents are getting retracted. The books are getting retracted. So if you look at with that highest retraction rates, definitely you will be able to get that sort of pulse that how things are happening. If any paper is being retracted, definitely that, maybe you may be, superimposed for a particular period of time, but after that, your full recognition is going to be, it's a huge crisis. It is a huge crisis. So if you look at this, of the 982 papers that have been retracted so far from India, 330 have been for plagiarism. So this is something which one need to be very careful about. Even if we are going for, our MSc dissertation, PhD is all fine, but many a time we take MSc dissertation very loosely, but we shouldn't. So, that plagiarism habit, because, once, they started thinking on these, they started working on these. So definitely they learn that sort of practice. And surprisingly, 118 papers for image duplication because of multiple, AI tools and multiple tools, those softwares are available. People are making that sort of, but, at the same time, we have also that sort of detecting mechanism also. I have given, the photographs of very important editor. I think many of you might be knowing Professor Pandey. He's a renowned, scientist, particularly of CSIR system. Sir was, what I can tell that in the last year, 4 or 5 papers from Sir's lab, and many a time it's happened that, he was not well aware that his name was included, because, there are multiple journals. They don't intimate those authors that who are the complete author list. So he was included in that particular paper, but he was not well aware of it. And ultimately that paper was, retracted. So ultimately the whole reputation is being impacted of this, the huge emblem of publication, the huge emblem of science, Professor Pandey. So, many a time, so even for faculty members also, we have to be very cautious. Many a time, the students that don't take permissions, that yes, whether to include your name or to include somebody's name in that particular list, and ultimately it is going to be impacted, in other way, and ultimately your reputation is going to be affected. So that is very important. One need to be very careful about. I already mentioned about this particular part, but this is a data just to mention you, because once I am mentioning, definitely based on those data and making those generalized observation, what I have already mentioned, that author's perspective is always they wanted to disseminate, they wanted to make their career promoted, they wanted to have improved funding, because many a time, even within our university system in BHU, if you don't have your paper in Q1 indexed journal, you are not going to get any IOE fund, means Institute of Eminence fund. So definitely, so you have to have a publication in good journals. Improved funding, definitely, if you wanted to get funding from external agencies, they also require it. Many a time with ego that yes, I'm going to do it, right? And then patent protection and others. These are those statistics that is very important, particularly with reference to the author's context and how it is looking like. And author is always looking for, because once he is going for that particular publishing, the quality and speed, the top items were reference speed, the reference standard, the journal reputation, always. A very good author is always looking for this. A good author is always looking for those editorial board, their physical quality and the publication services. So he will be always looking for this sort of information, or taking these particular informations. And particularly if I am putting it on the reader's context, because once author is going for those taking those particular context during your publication, but readers, they have also their priorities as well. They always want some authoritative quality articles. They want that something that of ease of access, that that comes with the context of the DOAJ. Rapid delivery, the convenient format, linking of information, that clustering of all those information, that is very important. Low or no cost and up-to-date information. These are all your reader priorities. And definitely, once we are trying to make an amalgamation and trying to just balance that, definitely we wanted to, because always author will always want to publish, but reader is always want to read the less amount, that particular, whatever is being delivered, whatever is being disseminated, published, he or she is always wants to read less. That means if we are able to put them in right context, in right format, in a very condensed format, so definitely it is going to be a win-win situation for all of us. And I already mentioned about those particular behavior already. So these are in the context of the difference between your authors and readers. Authors are journal focused. They're always looking into that particular journals they're looking for. Readers are article focused. They are looking for those particular title. They are looking for that particular, the topic on which they are researching, and publish more or, read less. That dichotomy is always going to be there. Now, I am going to tell something, which many of you are well aware of, but at the same time, I must, just revise those particular thing, in every platform. Even if you are, boarding to a flight, so every time the attendant, the crew is going to tell you that, yes, these are your publishing safety. So likewise, I'm just going to tell you those publishing safety instructions that one needs to look at. So every time you are going to go ahead for any publishing, definitely you need to go ahead with that sort of that sort of safety instructions has to be there. And in that particular process, from your once you are going to submit it, and once your paper gets that acceptance, once you get that email that yes, your paper is being accepted, so in between there are multiple stages, and there you have to face all those stages with that sort of authority, and then only you can go ahead. But at the same time, I already mentioned multiple times that yes, that publish or perish. We should be very careful about this particular part. That publishing is the chief currency in this universe, the main source of validation of one's research. So we shouldn't perish it actually, and often the key indicator of your academic success. Promotion and tenure committees value peer-reviewed publications above all. That is regrettably even above all clinical performance or community services. So that is, going to be very, very important criteria, as I mentioned, because, the genuinity, the uniqueness, the innovations in your work, that is going to be very, very important. So it is just like these. I already mentioned about it earlier also, that repeating that second-hand research, we shouldn't go ahead. This will come always as a high impact factor when Newton said that. But if you are going to do it with the other crops, so definitely it is going to be a low impact factor. So that's the way of looking at it. You need to be always go ahead with first-hand research. That may take time, but going ahead with that first-hand research is going to be a very, very difficult pathways you need to follow it. There will be multiple hassles will be there. But if you are going ahead with second-hand research, these low impact factor journals are always going to welcome you, and your number is going to inflate like anything. So the overview is the task of writing research paper can be a daunting task as usual. But even with groundbreaking research, unless the paper is correctly written, at the best publication will be delayed, at worst never published. That is going to be the reality. But our goal needs to be like this, that we need to provide an overview of how to write a well-structured research for publication. And this is going to be that particular cycle that everywhere, once you are going to go ahead with your discovery, then communication, submission, peer review, publication, and then secondary research dissemination. And once it happens, once this life cycle is complete for a researcher, that is the day for the celebration, or you feel immensely exaggerated, and you feel really proud. These are your key elements, particularly for writing an article. There are ethical issues. We'll be talking about that. Style and language, structure of a paper, components of a paper, article submission and journal selection. That is going to be very, very important. That is one of the very important issues for this particular talk. And publishing process and peer review, that one needs to be very, categorical about. And once I'm talking about those ethical issues, particularly that ethics has to be there always. If anyone is conducting any research, and that research individually or in a crew, that has to be checked by his or her supervisor at every day. And if you are making any sort of changes, any sort of fabrication in that, or any sort of deviation, that has to be you have to keep it a clear note of everything. So that disclosure and conflict of interest, because these will be in multiple cases, particularly taking those material, particularly taking material or plant material or animal material, those propagules, acknowledgement of funding sources. This is very important. Even acknowledgement of your some of those resources which you have used in your university, your supervisor. That is becoming in the recent past, I can tell you, in being in associate editorship of 3 journals of Frontiers, there are multiple cases came with this sort of acknowledgement issues. We are very, very casual in this particular part, but definitely one need to be very categorical on these. Image manipulation guidelines, there are very strict adhering guidelines are there. Online submission, as I said, supplementary information, data sets, videos, now even Excel sheets, everything people are asking for. They're going to check that whatever you have submitted, whether it is making some parity, or these are those particular sources you can always take into account. I'm going to share these with Dr. Surya, so you people can take this information, so that once you are going ahead with this sort of publication. Then comes your style and language. Definitely, this is going to be a very, very important part. We need to go ahead with this. We need to refer a journal author and guidelines for notes on style. Some authors, basically, they write, initially those papers, and then they go ahead with those journals outline. And somebody from the very beginning put it in their mind that, yes, I'm going ahead with this particular journal and I'm going to, go ahead with this shorter format. So objectivity is to report your finding and conclusions very clearly and convincingly and concisely as possible. That is the very important part that one needs to be very careful about. And style and language, if English is not our first language, we need to take help. There are multiple services are available. Even, some of your mentors, you can take help of them. But, taking the advantage of those particular interfaces which are available in the domain, don't use that. So initially, you should use your own resources, right? So if you are able to do that, definitely it is nothing like that. Regardless of primary language, find a colleague editor to review the content. Even within your institute, within your university, you can find people who will be able to do it very precisely. And there are, uniform requirements for manuscript, which is going to be submitted for any those particular, biomedical journals or any, science-based journals. Definitely, you have to go ahead with that. And next is your structure of how you are going to structure your paper. So this is going to be always different for, different kind of journals. Scientific writing definitely follows a rigid structure, a format which is developed over hundreds of years, right? So many a time people, they go through initially, even some of those reviewers, they go through initially the, title. So you have to be very, very specific, very, very careful about the title, that how whether you have been able to, make it concise, the full things have been exhibited over there or not. May read only the title and abstract, because this is very important. They are not going through in full detail, but someone is going to go ahead with all those results and discussion, and finally will make their mind that whether to go ahead with these or not. So this structured abstract format is also invaluable for submitting your paper. And these are, those particular parts which is going to be always there. This is going to be for any format of your paper. If you are going to do that, whether it is title, author, abstract, keywords, introduction, all of us, I think, well aware of this particular part, that these has to be there. And once I'm talking about this, definitely I'm going to deal it with more clarity in the next few slides. Then you will be able to understand what I'm trying to tell. Once I'm talking about title, what basically I'm trying to put emphasis on, right? And many a time, because this happens quite a lot, that, out of our, because, these are some practical issues, which is out of my last 24 years of observations. And that's what I have put this slide, that is it one or more paper from a single observation? Many a time, for the sake of number, we wanted to segregate them, but don't try to do it. For the sake of a very good, unique and innovative or, quality paper, it's not needed. You need to put all of them in a single, platform, and putting too much in one paper makes it diffuse and less compelling than if it is, focused. So that one needs to be very careful about. Now I'm going to go ahead with that sort of exercise that one needs to take in. Once I'm talking about, because now I'll be telling about that particular tips one need to take for, coming out with the flying colors for publishing those papers. The first tip is how to get started. That means you need to create an optimal environment. And creating an optimal environment for publication, this is very, very important. This is very, very important, I can tell you. I can give you a very, successful story of Banaras Hindu University, what it happened. Last 3 years, 3 years back, this university has taken a decision that, well, we are going to, sponsor those research scholars along with their mentor or along with their supervisor for 7 days in a place where they are going to move. And particularly, we have for BHU, we identified Barkacha, that yes, if you can take leave for 7 days, we are going to provide them. And then you move to that particular place along with your research scholar, or research scholar themselves can come and can move into that place. And then in isolation, they discuss, they brainstorm on it, and finally they chalk it out. Because once they are in the main campus, or once they are in the laboratory, or once they are, doing that particular research and writing part, that many a time that doesn't indulge or provoke that sort of, that, many a time we may not be able to see those results very clearly or concisely. So these tricks that, yes, we are going to sponsor your trip, you go for 6 days vacation to Varkacha for a publication, and then you come out with a manuscript, and then we'll also help in, waiving your APC charge also, right? Those academic, those article processing charge, we are going to waive that as well. And with doing that, in the last 3 years, what happened? The final resultant impact is we have increased our, presence. Particularly, if I'm giving one example of QS ranking, 3 years back, we were in 301 to 350 rank. And this year, we are in 150 to 200 rank. So basically, because in QS ranking, if you are going ahead with QS ranking attributes, one of the most important attributes is your publication in Q1 journal, means that particular journal with impact. So that makes a sense. So that means the first tip is we need to choose an optimal environment, because once you think for this publication, you have to create that particular thing. The next thing is the title and abstract. Because this title and abstract, you are going to sell your paper. You are just going to market your paper, because initially there are multiple, reviewers just going through this title or this particular abstract. They are going to decide or the fate of that particular article. So we need to be very precise. We need to describe the paper's content clearly and precisely. And definitely we need to put some very keywords. Many a time, this is a common practice of putting keywords, whatever there is in your, title. Don't do that. So, what is needed is we need to understand that, if we can make this particular part in mind, because there are multiple databases, there are multiple indexing databases that, they can always, because if we run those particular abstract, we'll be able to see the similarity, indices as well. So to just get rid of all of them, we need to make that sort of very, unique title. And definitely the abstract has to be very concise, making all the observations, right? And so that accurately it is reflecting the content of your paper. Many a time it is, it's not aligned with whatever there internally. The next point is, the third point is that clearly, once you come out with this particular, the title and the abstract, the next part is going to be your introduction. Many a time, some of those authors, they have a habit of writing this introduction once everything is being written. Means your those result discussion, everything is written, and then they start with introduction. So, because this is going to be your problem statement, that what is you are investigating, that background that explains the problem, the reasons, that particular conducting, that what is that particular that actually prompted you to take this particular research. So we need to make a very good review of stock of the situation, that where it stands now, and where is there anything, some gaps are visible. If you wanted to bridge those gaps, or if you wanted to make some new addition to those existing. So this is very important. That means once you are talking about introduction, this is basically all on that funnel shape, that everybody has to look at like these, because this is going to be your problem statement. And once you come out with this, definitely the next step is going to be your material methods, right? Those methods which you have used, the instruments which you have used. This is very important, that what is the makeup of that instrument. You have to mention it. And many a time we don't put all those information, because that gives some sort of indication that what is that level of sophistication you have used. What is that, whether you have conducted your experiments in any ISO certified lab or not. So that makes this piece of information or this, additional input is going to highlight all of them. And at the same time, this reader will be able to go out with that, what if they are if they wish to replicate that particular research, what is that methodology. But in many good papers you may not be able to get that particular the details completely, because they don't mention them. But definitely if you go back to the original one, whatever that particular author has referred, if you go back, if you take that policy, definitely you will be able to make out. Explain how you studied the problem, identify the procedures you followed, new methodology in detail. If you are incorporating something new, definitely that details have to be given with all details. The frequency of observation, what types of data were recorded, the precise and particularly one need to be very precise. Particularly there are two terminologies are there. One is accuracy and another is precision. That reproducibility, whether and if it is something, if it is something which you wanted to, if you are going for some, molecular work, or if you are going for some, macro work like any agronomic work, or even some natural resource management based work. So there, what is the significant digit you are going to mention? So everything that is very important. That is going to be a very important factor. The next part is your results. And this is basically present the findings without any interruption. And once I'm talking about these results are contributing to the body of your scientific knowledge, means the new knowledge which you are contributing to the existing one. So that means this is going to be, making a huge impact. And once we are a logical sequence based on the tables and figures, so definitely what is expected and what is warranted is one can make an algorithm sort of thing. And so that, yes, these are the results and you are going to explain your results following these are the way. So figures should have a brief description, providing the reader sufficient information to know how the data were produced. And then once you get that particular results, the most important part is going to be a discussion. So one need not to make any sort of undue speculation. You have to have enough of evidences as well as supporting mechanism. Once somebody is going to write that particular piece of information. So once you have those observed data, and now it is your means under your prerogative or under your jurisdiction, now it is your task to explain those results, to describe what your results mean basically, and what is that context that was already known about that subject, and what is that new which you are trying to introduce with the mechanism, with the supportive literature. That yes, but definitely, as I said, we shouldn't go for undue speculation, and outline the next steps for further study as well. That yes, these are until this point of time we have been able to come up, but yes, these are those particular lacuna, or these are those which this study couldn't have been able to produce. Maybe if we can change or amend some of those strategies initially in our materials and methods, definitely we'll be able to do that. So this is another responsibility one need to be very careful about. And then the table and figures, because this is another part in the present context. If we look at those publication strategy, once you are going for for good publication, this is going to be very, very important, using those statistical softwares, those apps, using those tables and figures. Those previously documented tables and figures may not work. You have to do it in a very in a way so that it is going to give you some sort of self-explanatory mechanism. It has self-imbibed, self-explanatory mechanism, and those tables and figures are using those updated softwares. You have to have those sort of statistical tools. So for that you need to have updation. It's not that initially the way during our postgraduate days, the way we wish to put all those tables and figures, but the way it is being presented right now, there is a sea change. So we need to update ourselves. And then referencing is also very, very important, because there are huge remarks or huge comments are always there, particularly with point of reference. So whenever one draw upon previously published work, one must acknowledge the source. Many a time it is our many a time, this is a very, very I must confess it, this is a mentality for this part of the globe, that we don't, put those references. We don't, acknowledge those references from where our concepts, our, methodology we have evolved or we have, started initiating. Any information not from your experiment, not common knowledge, should be recognized by a citation as well. And how references are presented, this is going to vary from journal to journal. So it has to, and there are multiple softwares are available. What is needed, you need to have all those information, you put them all there and you tell them that, yes, you need in this format, definitely things will come. And avoid references that are difficult to find. But at the same time, always, if you are giving some references, try to go to that particular references. It may be, it's a day-old references, maybe a older references, but try to read that paper. So that will give you, enough of thing, and that will make you, very enough of insight as well. It is happening. This is a quite observation that, just is the observation. I have put it in the form of cartoon because, once things are getting published, so I'm not interested in what the paper is about. I'm interested on a single individual. So you put your name and you have seen the consequences, that gentleman, that person who has earned those particular legacy after a huge work, huge documental work. But ultimately, it doesn't make, everything goes all in vain. So I just want you to put me on the authors list. So there are two parts of the story. One part, there are many people who are there who wants their name, and using that name, you can, approach many journals. This is also a, strategy right now these days. And there is another strategy is you put all those names, but you don't, inform that individual that you have, yes, you have put their names. So because, once something mishappening happened, short of retraction, then only, people came to know that, yes, something happened like this. Now I will come to a very serious issue. And this is also, during my last, as I said, that I'm doing this sort of editorial shift for a couple of years. So, there are multiple complaints I'm getting right now with reference to authorship. One need to be very careful about keep only those authors who have made an intellectual contribution. And even what is that contribution, you have to be very careful about. It's not something that, yes, A has given his name in B, so B is going to give his name in A, and B has given name of C, so C is going to give name of both and B and A, and at the end of the day, you have 100 publication. But once, if you are coming up with a very strict interview, so you have been, dissected like anything. So that is a huge chance is always there. So that one needs to be very, very important. That one needs to be very, very careful about. So, as I said, that those who will, because, what happened, I was mentioning about those particular recent stories, that somebody have contributed, but they didn't put their name. And once that particular paper has came into surface, so that particular paper, ultimately has to retract it because of that particular, complaint received from that particular either a review, in many cases, maybe a supervisor or maybe a co-researcher. So this authorship issue is a very, very important. So authorship, discuss it within your team. You have to fragment those particular, individual basis, that what is that responsibility you are going to give on somebody, right? And then the most important part is the choice of journal. And, there you have to make a huge, many a time, huge work or a huge exercise. But now there are multiple, strategies are there. I'm going to show you one slide there. If you just, put your researchable area, immediately they are going to suggest you, yes, these are the journals, these are the Q1, Q2, Q3 journals where you can go ahead. So select your journal very carefully, read the aims and scope, think about your target audience, and follow the guidelines. An article should be submitted submitted to more than one journal at a time. Should not be. This is also going to be a very, very important issue. for shortcut, what people are right now, people are doing, they are, sending the same paper in multiple journal. So what is happening, if it is a very good journal, so then immediately, it is there within their particular, cloud. Means, once it is being uploaded, so it is there in their cloud. So once, either if it is within that Springer or within that CRC or within that Elsewhere, immediately it will be trapped. That yes, it has already been submitted to here. Or even if, sometimes with reference to that particular the similarity index, you will be in problem. So don't do that. So once you are going ahead with a single, you go ahead with a single journal, don't go ahead with a multiple journal. So that is going to create multiple issues, right? So submitting a paper, so definitely you need to write a very convincing cover letter also. This is also an art of writing that cover letter. So that will make a sense that yes, that yeah, what that editor is finding in that particular letter, and what that editor will provoke to go ahead for those sort of reviewing or not. So this is also very important. That means you have to, but many a time, many, in journal format, they don't give much of emphasis on this, cover letter, because if we go with those floristic language, because, somebody's, there are people who are very good in writing those cover letter, but their inner content is very less. So it depends, right? The most important part, once you have submitted your paper, now once you got an email that yes, now the reviewer has asked for this sort of revision, or maybe in worst case it may be no, we are not going to publish it. So then we have to be very, very we have to do this with much more integrity, with much more commitment, with much more calm attitude. So getting the reviews of your paper, the reviewer is always right, right? It happens that, many a time it happened with me also. I have seen during my career that one paper was rejected from a very ordinary journal, the national ordinary journal, because I do not know whether it is the ego of any reviewer or because of that particular mind setup. But once, after quite days of that sort of frustration, once I, with more commitment, I take some of those comments and put it into that paper, and then I submit it into a journal with high impact, and it finally accepted. So reviewer is always, your boss is always right, but don't go ahead with this, because I say there are two parts of the story. Don't respond quickly. This is also one point one need to learn. You have to just go ahead with those, even if you have those answers, right? So you have to be very rational enough, take a pause, and then you answer it. Suppose you that reviewer, it may so happen, because in science it may so happen that he or she may not be able to get through that particular inner thing which you wanted to just indicate, but don't do that in quickly. If your paper is rejected, was it sent out for review? Many a time it didn't, right? As I say, just looking at the title, looking at the abstract, people used to make it. If not, consider changing the type of the journal. It is in your hand. If reviews don't suggest changes, send it quickly to another journal, right? So this is one can do always. And once with this further, I can tell that editors and reviewers are looking for original and innovative research that will add to the field of study, right? That is always there. But the mind setup and the way of looking at it is always going to be different. For research-based paper, ensure that you have enough numbers to justify sound statistical conclusions. That one need to be very rightly, one need to do that. As I was mentioning, for finding those journals, these are those particular domain where if you put your area, immediately you will be able to see that yes, these are the possible journals you can try for. And even for literature review, this is wonderful. Very recently, in our university there was a workshop, and there are multiple strategies. We have sensitized our researcher, particularly those particular tools, because you cannot avoid AI tools. You have to take that in your research journey. So there are multiple, and you can use them, and that is going to refine your the particular review part, and that will pinpoint that yes, what is missing and what needs to be done further. So these are all those further resources one can go ahead. There is a much relief. I think this is very important for the young researchers, because there is no more that sort of UGC guidelines and no more UGC burden right now. So you can always strive for a good journal. There is no, because all of us know that what happened during that particular period of time when there was, you have to go ahead with those UGC referred journal. And what was the outcome? We know that there are multiple journals. They're all spurious. They're all predatory journals, but they were there, and they were all earning money out of it. And as I said, that AI is growing influence in publishing. We need to use all of them. You can use some writing tools, particularly once you are going for publication. Definitely, these are those particular AI tools which many of those standards journals they accept. But this if you are using ChatGPT, it's not going to accept. If you're going to use Claude, it's not going to accept. So this you can always go through. I'm going to give it to the organizer so that you can see it. So the brutal reality about AI in academia, already I mentioned that everybody is watching. So whatever you are doing, whatever footprint you are putting it, so don't think that you are just going to have your publication and then you move away. At the time of retirement, you never know, because I have given the example. So but that may happen with anybody. So it is, so your one wrong move can destroy your reputation, your career, your future. So we need to be very, very careful about. So this is one domain. Think, check, submit. Yes, ma'am, I'm going to complete it by another 2 minutes, right?
Oh,
another
thank you so much, sir. Thank you
another
so
2 minutes. So now, as I said, because it is always the authors are always challenged, because once you have these multiple sort of problems in the domain, so there are this site is available. You can go ahead with this think, check, and submit.org. So there you will be able to see that how easily things can be done. So these are few publishing, writing, and in a good journal. These are some facts. These are the myths. These are the reality. The rejection is common. Revision always can help. You have to keep this always in mind. And the reality is more ways to share your findings today, and particularly in open access journal. And this is something, as I already said, that the paper submission trend across Asia, the rejection rate, the countries with most paper published, I already mentioned. But we need to be very careful about the research which we are doing. We need to do research for credential, or whether we are doing research for impact. That is the point we need to keep it in mind. If it is for credential, definitely it is going to be those number. But if it is for impact, that maybe you may have only 1 or 2 or 3 paper, but that is going to give huge of impact, and with much of those particular citations, and that is. So what is evident out of all these narratives which I try to make in last 1 hour and 10 minutes, that responsible publishing is definitely key. Is not just about where you publish or what you publish, but how you uphold the integrity of you, the integrity, your personal integrity, the integrity of your institute, the integrity overall, your science, integrity of science. So definitely one need to take a pause, one need to check, and then definitely you need to publish responsibly. I must extend my team who always help me in, because when madam was mentioning that, yes, I have published this much of paper or books in CRC or Springer. So these are my all, acknowledged teams, the extended teams who have helped me. And they are, whether my research students, my PhD students, or across from Pan India and from the Plan Globe. These are those gentlemen who has there with me in those different books. So thank you very much. Thank you, madam. And thank you, Amity Jaipur, for bringing this very, very important topic before and sensitizing with these young or best minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable inputs on the predatory journals and making us understand the importance of responsible publishing. Definitely, we all need to take a pause and then only publish responsibly. That is the takeaway for the today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
If anyone has any question, we just have next 2 minutes, because in next 5 minutes we are going to start with the next session. Our next speaker, Professor S.K. Bhatnagar sir, has also joined us. He's also there. Our director sir is also there.
So Surya is there?
Yes, sir. Dr. Surya is here only.
Okay, so I do not know the purpose with which you people have planned this lecture, whether it was your desirity has attained, or whether it was a 1 hour or 20 minutes of
Yeah, sir,
nothing.
it was very helpful, and we also extend a warm welcome to S.K. Bhatnagar sir. Our next speaker, he has also joined, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, namaste.
Thank you very much.
Sir, namaste.
Welcome, Professor Bhatnagar, to this platform.
Thank you, Professor Vinay
It's a
Sharma.
great pleasure to see you, and we would learn a lot by way of your experience as editor-in-chief of a highly reputed journal, international journal, Scopus Index journal.
Yes, I will try to share my experiences with the young faculty. It will be a privilege for me.
Yes, sir. Thank
We
you
may
so
have a
much.
break of, I think, around 3:30. Should we start, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Abhay?
3:30 will definitely start. 3:30 will start with the session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amitabh sir, for your valuable contribution and for sparing your valuable time. It was indeed very helpful for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. My regards to Professor Sharma and Professor Bhatnagar.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Dr.
Professor.
Abhay.
Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Excellent lecture, your contributions,
Thank you.
especially in regard to predatory. And I was really impressed the way, you made use of the cartoons
Thank you, sir.
in order to explain.
Thank you.
That's quite innovative. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, may I leave now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, if you have any urgent meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are now joined by our next speaker, Professor Dr. S.K. Bhatnagar, sir. Sir is also the editor-in-chief, Vegetos, and former Dean College of Biotechnology, SVPU, Meerut. We'll just start his session in a while.
Thank you very much. And I suppose that the audience would certainly appreciate a small break.
Yes,
after
sir.
a very technical session.
Yes, sir. We have both the participants in both online as well as in the offline mode.
Yeah.
So those who are offline, I think they can quickly grab a cup of tea and probably
Yes, sir.
Quickly, but
yes, sir. Quickly. We'll start with the session sharply at 3:30.
Yeah, absolutely.
That will be better.
Tea break for everyone. Let's start the session. 5 to 3:05. We'll start the session at
Am I visible to the audience?
Sir, earlier you were, but
you are visible. You are visible, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Because I am not very accustomed with the Zoom portal, because we used to organize meetings on Google Meet. So I'm not sure.
You can probably test your slides if upload and if they are moving.
Yeah. Should I share it right now?
Yeah, you can check if they are moving.
I have already checked with my office.
Okay,
but-
then it's fine. Not a problem.
Because we are the pupil from an ancient age. For the younger generation, we are obsolete scientists.
But you are always in the frontiers of, plant sciences, plant biotechnology.
That's why this is your
And
affection.
ahead of the younger generation, I think.
But the technologies which are advancing nowadays, they are keeping us obsolete. But we have to upgrade. Unless and until we upgrade properly, we shall not be able to stand. And a lot of things are coming up.
Absolutely. That's right.
So you are having 2 lectures in one, in afternoon session.
Yeah, that's right.
Professor
We
Sharma,
are
yeah.
scheduled now 2 to 3:15, and then we break for tea for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the next one is yours now, 3:30.
So that will be the last lecture
This
for
will be
today.
the last lecture for today's lecture.
Yes, sir, for
session.
today.
Yeah. And tomorrow also you are having, I think, 2 sessions.
We have
also.
one more lecture tomorrow.
One
This
more
is followed
lecture.
by military session.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir,
you are
tomorrow is
also
the last day.
Yeah. Professor Sharma is an inspiration for the younger generations like you. He had been working so hard and always on the wheels, moving and working.
आप फॉरवर्ड कर देना
Welcome back, everyone. I once again extend a warm welcome to each one of you, and a special thank you to our guest speaker, Dr. S.K. Bhattacharya sir, for joining us, and our director, Professor Vinay Sharma sir, for joining us. So we are honored to have your presence with us today. So now we are starting with our session 2 of the 4th day of this faculty development program on emerging trends in research, writing, and publications. And the topic for this session is the peer review tactics, response letters, and community-driven reviews. And this would be delivered by our esteemed speaker, Professor S.K. Bhattacharya sir, who's editor-in-chief, Vegetos, and former dean, College of Biotechnology, SVPU, Meerut. So before inviting sir, I would like to briefly introduce him. Professor S.K. Bhattacharya sir started his career in higher education from 1977 and subsequently served as the Professor and Dean, College of Biotechnology at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University of Agriculture and Technology, Meerut, till retirement in 2017. Sir remained the head of 4 departments for more than 10 years. Sir also has a vast experience of more than 40 years in teaching and research. He served on several administrative positions like Chief Personnel Officer, Pro-VC, Nodal Officer, College of Basic Science and Humanities, Chief Warden, Chairman, Screening Committee for CAS, Chairman, Discipline Committee, Director, Training and Placements, besides officiating as Registrar several times in the same university. Sir also founded an internationally recognized Society for Plant Research in the year 1988, under the aegis of which an International Journal of Plant Research and Biotechnology, Vegetos, is being published and is currently being processed by the most reputed Springer Nature. Vegetos is also being indexed by the Scopus. Presently, Professor Bhatnagar is the editor-in-chief of Vegetos, who successfully organized more than 30 national and international conferences under the aegis of Society for Plant Research. He is the fellow of Botanical Society of India, a member of Phycological Society of France, MPS, fellow of Linnean Society of London, honorary fellow of Andaman Science Association, and honorary life member, PGPR, AU Bern, USA. He has been honored by the most prestigious Vasvik Award in the year 2010 for agriculture research offered at Bhai Das Auditorium, Mumbai, carrying cash prize of rupees 1 lakh. Professor Bhatnagar has been conferred Lifetime Achievement Award 2020 by Environment and Social Development Association, Delhi, Devang Mehta National Education Award 2020 at Mumbai, Academician of the Year Award 2020 by EET CRS at Hyderabad, and recently conferred Lifetime Achievement Award 2020 by Pearl Foundation, Bangalore. Professor Bhatnagar has visited nearly 10 countries, which include France, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Greece, Ireland, Belgium, Oxford, Isle of Macedonia, Indonesia, etc., under various academic programs like INSA Costed Fellow, Indo-Greek Fellow, and as sponsored visiting scientist. Sir was also elected as the member of National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC, an autonomous institution of the University Grants Commission. He has delivered large number of keynote addresses and invited lectures in national and international conferences held in India and abroad, besides popular lectures in various workshops and teacher training programs. With these few words, I will now request Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, sir, to kindly deliver his session.
Thank you very much for an elaborated introduction. I do not know whether I deserve this much of introduction or not, because during 40 or more than 40 years of my career, naturally a person who love academics, they had to perform such duties as and when an opportunity arrives.
Yes, sir.
Of course, the recognition to our activities motivate us to work further. And I am very happy to join this very important platform at MIT University, Jaipur, particularly to interact with the younger faculty members under faculty development program. And I am sure that these lectures, which are being delivered during FDP, they will be of paramount importance for enriching the overall career and particularly the research publications by the younger generation.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank you
the
so much,
faculty-
sir, for accepting our request.
Yeah, pardon?
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our request. We are honored to have you here, definitely.
Thank you very much. And now let me see whether I will be able to share the slide. Let
Yes.
me do that.
Yes,
Is it visible, madam? Is it visible? Hello?
yes,
I
sir.
just said it is visible. It is
Okay,
visible.
okay, fine. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I can continue.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I was waiting for the permission by Professor Vinay Sharma so that he can give me a green signal that I should start.
So grateful to you, sir.
So thank you very much once again, and I am honored to have an interaction with the younger faculty members from different corners of the country under FDP. And this type of program was very much required because during my more than 40 years of career, I observed that the publication and writing a paper is a big problem. And many of the scientists, they are not well versed about the technology, about the real way, how to write a paper, how to select a particular journal, how to communicate it and to get it published. Now, I will not make this lecture very technical, but will try to enlighten the younger generation that where from we started. And in the earlier time, when there was nothing like impact factor, there was nothing like site score, or nothing like much online review system, then we used to publish the papers in very reputed journals, and publication in those journals brought us good recognition globally. So what happened that with the passage of time, when we are having a lot of technology before us, we are not able to make good publications, or we are not able to attract most of the senior scientists towards their publication. Now, in the earlier time, as I told, that during 1980s or 1970, long back, the quality research was an inbuilt passion. I think we can identify them as the passion and profession. Those scientists who used to enter into research, they were choosing it because it was their passion. I have seen many scientists who never wanted to go into teaching, and they took it as a career that we will proceed for research, or we will complete our life as a researcher, not as a teacher. So you can understand that the passion which was prevailing in the earlier generation, that led to the production of very good research papers, very good research projects, and those researches are still quoted with respect. In 1948, our teacher, Professor M.B. Godward from University of London, she developed a very small technique which was called as iron alum S2 carbene technique. And during that time, there was not very adequate review system. The journals were very few, but the researches were real. And due to that passion towards research, such papers which were published during 1948 or even before that, they were recognized by the scientific community, and they are quoted and cited as on today. Now, this picture at the bottom, I deliberately put because this is from the lab of Dr. Micheline Gerleskin. She was in University Cateau in Angers, Nantes, France. And under INSACO State Fellowship, I visited her lab and worked over there for more than 4 months. She was a scientist who appreciated the way Indian researchers had been working and the type of research which was being carried out by the scientists in developed countries. She was of the view that despite very poor lab facilities, Indian scientists, they are doing marvelous job, whereas in the developed countries, despite so much of equipment, these equipment you can see, they were during 1981. So that much of equipment we never saw in our lab in India, but we worked over there on these equipments. And even during that time, those scientists were not able to take photographs of chromosomes. But in India, we were taking the photographs of chromosomes using a trinocular microscope or using a simple binocular microscope and a handmade camera or a bellow type camera. Through this picture, I want to emphasize that if we have got the skill, if we have got the dedication towards research, we do not require much sophisticated equipments. We can design the research and the entire protocol by using our own brain, and that is called as the intelligence. Now you can see during that time, particularly with this picture, you can see that we were measuring our brain and were trying to enhance the capacity of thinking, to enhance the capacity of developing new ideas and to implement them in the form of research. This picture is not a simple picture. You can understand that everybody has got his own IQ, and if we are sharpening our IQ, then our intelligence will keep on increasing, and with that increased intelligence, we shall be able to frame new ideas of research. We shall be able to implement them within the required facilities or within the minimum facilities which we have, and we shall be able to publish good researches. So this picture I deliberately put because we are talking about artificial intelligence. We have stopped utilizing our own intelligence, therefore we are moving toward the artificial intelligence. But we all should understand that the data which has been put into artificial intelligence for giving answer to every question that has been put by the intelligence of the human beings, or it is the data which was stored in the human brain and has been transferred in the form of artificial intelligence into the cloud manner, or it has been preserved in different forms. Now, during earlier time, there were only two databases. One was the biological abstract called as BIOSYS, another was current content. And many scientists like Professor Vinay Sharma might be witnessing that during that time it was very difficult to find out the references. We used to run from one library to another to find out the relevant references by using biological abstract, had been sitting in the library for hours together to find out that what type of research has been published on the topic on which we want to carry out research. Likewise, current content was particularly a latest edition in which the researches throughout the world were included almost in a fortnight or very rapidly. And the method to obtain the reprint was these small cards which you can see at the bottom of this slide. We used to write the name of the paper, volume, and the journal in which it was published. We used to send it by post, and finally, if the author agrees or he recognizes the interest of the researcher, they used to send a bundle of research papers by post. So it was a tedious time. It was a difficult time for research, but even then, the scientists, they were working by sending the reprint request to the authors and were receiving the reprints, and a bulk of reprints were collected. And after consulting them, the hard copies of the reprints, we used to design our synopsis, and we used to finalize the topic, and according to that topic, the researches were carried out. What I mean to say that the present generation or the generation in the present time is better exposed to many new technologies by the help of which they can search any paper, anytime, at any place by using various type of search engines, and it has become quite easy But the technological advancement, is it carrying us towards the real research? Is it not diverting us from the real research to a slightly manipulated way of research? That should not be. That is our emphasis, that despite very few facilities during the earlier time, the pupil, the scientists, they recorded their intelligence, they recorded their researches, and those researches are referred even today by many scientists. So all the faculty members, they should focus on producing a research which should be cited by many, which should be of great valuable output, or it should have a greater output for the masses, for agriculture scientists, for the farmers, and for the younger generations. They should do that type of research rather than increasing their API score or rather than increasing the quantity of published papers. Now, this photograph is just a reference about the scientist. In the middle, you can see Professor Micheline Gerleskin. She was the professor and head in the Department of Biological Sciences, University Cateau in Angers, France. And this was our colleagues, with the help of which we started working on the topic of my research. Now, this is the place where from I started working and started enrolling PhD students for research, and 30 years I completed in this very prestigious institute at Bareilly, that is Bareilly College, Bareilly. It is now almost 195 years old and is the most prestigious institute of Northern India. Now you can see that in many places you will find this type of museum where the old microscopes on which the older scientists or the scientists during our time they worked, they have been preserved just to showcase that these microscopes were not of very advanced nature. But despite this fact, the scientists, they used to carry small microscopes to the field along with a small stool. They used to sit in the grassland, find out the plants for taxonomic identification, identify them then and there, write the notes about them. If they are working on the aquatic plants, they used to prepare a small slide of the aquatic plants. They put them on the slide and note down the features, identify them then and there, and brought them to the laboratory for further research. So, at every slide, I want to emphasize that despite a very, very difficult research scenario, the scientists, they were able to bring out very important results. Now, to learn and adopt. This was the fundamental for every researcher, that we have to work on our own first. We have to see that whatever research our student is going to pursue, whether this research is practically possible or not. Just a minute. And as an initiator of biotechnology at Bareilly in 1994, the pupils were not aware of the word biotechnology. And many of my fellow colleagues, they used to ask me that what biotechnology is and why are you starting this department of biotechnology in this college. And perhaps that was the first institute where biotechnology was started in northern part of UP, and there was a craze among the students that let us see that what biotechnology can bring out. So that was the frontier science or the science which can bring out potential results for the development, for disease management of plants and animals, and for many other things which you all might be knowing. Now, you can see my teacher and my grand teacher. At the top is my grand teacher, Professor M.B. Godward, which I was talking about. She was a scientist whose lab was at 4th floor in Queen Mary College, University of London. And she never used lift to go to her lab. She used to go on a staircase, and it was a chamber of 10 by 10 where her entire research and her microscope and her stock-arming technique and her publications were placed. She was so a gentle lady that all the algal cytogenetics centers in India, they were led by her student. When I met her during my visit to her institution, I very politely asked, Madam, what was the reason for selecting Indian students for PhD? Because almost 11 students were produced PhD, and all of them were from India, and they established different labs, including Banaras Hindu University, at Hyderabad University, at Ranchi University, and at so many places. So her simple answer was that the Indian scientists, they can work in the scarce condition what we are having in our lab. They do not require sophisticated equipments, and they can work even after the office hours are over. So it motivated me to see that a scientist has got a vision to identify such researchers which can dedicate for research even after the office hours. And in India, this is a very common trend that unless the experiment is complete, we used to stay in our lab, no matter whether it is the office time is over or how much extra time we are spending. Now, this was the method of communication. You see, Professor Godward, she wrote me a letter in 1986, and she spared a lot of time not to type, not to send an email, but to write a paper, to write a letter on her letterpad and send it to me through post. Now, the best way to interact with each other was the conferences. And nowadays, after COVID was hitting the global community, an online communication mode came into existence. But I'm sorry to say that this is the worst mode of communication, and the best way of communication is the offline mode. I attended one very important conference organized by Professor Vinay Sharma at his university in an offline mode, and that provided a lot of interaction between the scientists who were of a global rank, who were internationally recognized, and they were interacting with the younger scientists to motivate them for good research and for good outcome. Now here you can see Professor B.M. Jory is standing at the back offering one award to a person. Professor B.M. Jory was an stalwart in Delhi University. He wrote a large number of books, and he was the chief guest in that conference. Then you can see Professor P.K. Gupta. Almost everybody who has studied books, he was the guest of honor in our conference. And then Professor K.S. Bhargav, a known scientist in plant pathology and mycology, he was there. So these scientists, they used to come to the conferences in an offline mode and interact and enlighten the younger generation about the researches, about various methodologies, and about the outcome which they produced. And they always motivated the younger generation to work hard and to reach to a definite height. Then in the bottom, you can see this was an international conference called TASAD India. at NAS Complex, New Delhi during 2017. It was organized by Society for Plant Research. Through these pictures, I wish to emphasize that the interaction with the senior scientist in person give you not only a motivation to work, but you learn from them a lot of things. How to pursue research, how to find out a real research topic, how to publish them, how to make them a perfect publication. So all these legends, many of the legends you might be knowing, Professor S.K. Sapori, Professor Manju Sharma, Professor R.B. Singh, Professor Anupam Verma, these are all legends who were in that conference. Many younger scientists, they avoid attending the conferences in an offline mode. It pains us because they are just trying to attend the conference in an online mode. They do not want to move from one place to another. The biggest problem with this thing is that you never learn the things which you can learn through personal interaction. Second thing, if you are producing a PhD, I have seen many faculty members who come to us, sir, kindly suggest 3-4 names of the examiners to whom the thesis can be referred. Because you are not having an offline interaction, you never know to whom the name can be referred or whose name can be referred, who are the real persons who are working in the area. And when you do not know them personally, how can the research or a good research papers can be brought out? Now, this was another interaction with the Secretary General of International Phycology Society in Ireland. These type of papers were published. This was the paper published in Cariologia, Italy. Another was in Cytologia. And these papers were published after rigorous review. And during that time, in 1989 or 78, it was a tough task to review a paper because the papers from the editor, they were sent to the reviewers after seeking their consent by post. And they used to sit on the table and correct it word by word, put the mark on the paper by pencil or by a pen, and send it back to the editor after framing the comments on the paper. So it was a months-long process. And after almost 7-8 months, or after even 1 year or more than 1 year, we were able to receive the comments from the reviewers. Now, the researchers are in a hurry. As an editor-in-chief of the journal, I have observed that the authors submit a paper, and even after 15 days of its submission, they start inquiring the status. That is possible only in the journals which are having a quick publication device. But many journals which are of good repute, which are Scopus indexed, or which are in Web of Science, or which are indexed by the reputed database, they are never having a quick publication domain. So they take time to send it to the reviewers of repute, to receive their comments from them, and to send it back to the authors for revision. Even in our journal, 2 or 3 rounds of review, they are done. Naturally, when we are going 2 or 3 rounds of review to refine the paper as per the mandate of the journal, ultimately it will consume time. And a good paper can be published within 1 year of time. Those journals are available who are publishing within 15 days time, and because of the API score, to enhance the API score for promotion, for submitting thesis, or for many other reason, we are just in a hurry to get our paper published. Some of the authors, they say, sir, just send the acceptance of the paper, no matter when it will be published. So what should be the answer from my desk? No, that is not possible, whether you can withdraw and can submit it to the journal which has got the quick publication process. So if you really want to achieve something, if you really want to have good publications, those publications may be 2, 3, 4, or 5. Not necessarily they are hundreds. So if you are having only 5 publications in good reputed journals, ultimately these 5 papers will take you to a greater height rather than having 50 papers or 100 papers to your credit. Now these 2 papers I am mentioning here because after publication of these 2 papers, I got my first job. And that job was because of these papers which were considered equivalent to the PhD thesis. So this is what I want to emphasize, that if you are having good publications in good journals, then ultimately that will help you in your career rather than running behind the journals which are publishing within 15 days time or which are facilitating the things for any other vested interest. Now, after this era, we have undergone procedural changes in publishing researches. Now you can see, of course, in the last lecture also you might have come across these things, but as an editor-in-chief of the journal Vegetos, I wish to pinpoint some important points which shall be coming in my forthcoming slides. An author submits the manuscript, and once the manuscript is submitted, it undergoes rigorous evaluation right from the stage 1. It undergoes technical evaluation and non-technical evaluation. And after that initial evaluation, some of the papers are rejected outrightly immediately because those papers have not been submitted as per the author guideline. They have not followed the journal pattern or pattern of the journal. And what they did, they received a rejection from one journal. Ultimately, they put a cover letter and submit it to another journal. And if from there it is rejected, they send it to the third journal. During our time, it was the practice that our supervisor used to ask us that see the format of the journal, and as per the format of the journal, paper should be prepared. And that was the reason that during that time, the papers were submitted in perfection or following the author guideline. But nowadays, 50% of the papers are rejected outrightly because they are not submitted as per the journal guideline. Then the non-qualitative editorial review. What is that? That is done by the persons who are sitting in the publisher's office. And what they see the similarity index, they see the duplication in the paper, they see the plagiarism by using Authenticate or other essential tools. They see that whether there is a discrepancy in the author sequence, whether the papers they have been submitted in a proper format, whether the papers, if there is a guideline that the paper should be this much of word length, then whether the paper has got that word length or it has been submitted arbitrarily. So these are all non-qualitative editorial review. And during this review, it has also been added by our publisher that whether the paper has been prepared by using some latest technical tools like artificial intelligence or ChatGPT. So if we receive a report that much of percentage of artificial intelligence has been used in preparing the paper, that paper is also rejected. Then following it is a qualitative editorial review. Here comes the subject expert, the editors who are really concerned about the quality of the paper. So here start the qualitative editorial review. And if superficially the editor finds that quality of the paper is not as per the mandate of journal, the paper has been written like a small report, or it has been written like a popular article, or it is not containing any type of good research, the outcome is not proper, the experimental design is not fair, then ultimately during qualitative editorial review, the paper is rejected from the desk of editor-in-chief or the handling editors. Now, after qualitative editorial review by editor-in-chief office, it goes to the sectional editor. I wish to emphasize that what are sectional editor? Suppose a journal has got 10 different types of discipline in which the papers will be entertained. And for those 10 sections, the sectional editors are deputed, or they are given an assignment of sectional editor. Now these sectional editor, they undergo the content of the paper and find out that this paper can be sent to the handling editor. In a particular section, there are sectional editor and the handling editor. It depends from journal to journal, but in our journal, in Vegetos, we have the sectional editor. From them, the paper is screened, and from them, it is sent to the handling editor, and handling editor, they again evaluate it and send it to the reviewer. So what the handling editor does, they find out the reviewer. So many of the authors, they are in the impression and they keep writing a mail that, sir, the paper is showing editor assigned. They understand that the paper has not been processed at all. But this is not fair. When the paper is submitted, it has gone to the editor-in-chief. You will find on the caption that editor assigned. Then it will go to the sectional editor. You will find that it is showing editor assigned. Then it will go to the handling editor, and again you will see that it is editor assigned. But the paper has already undergone 3 steps forward. And once the handling editor invites the reviewer and they agree to review, then only you will find that reviewers are assigned or it is under review. So that is a tedious process. It is a time-consuming process, and that is not possible within 5-7 days or even 15 days. There is a time slot given in the website, but usually the time slot is not followed. And many a time, due to the non-availability of reviewer, the paper takes a lot of time, and ultimately the editors, they become helpless and they are not able to give any decision unless we receive a report from the reviewer. And once the review reports arrive, the report is returned by the reviewer, the editor decisions are flowed, or editor they provide their decision, whether it is accepted, minor revisions, major revisions, or it is rejected. Now here you can see that this is the format of the editorial manager in our journal. You can see that these are the things, action. You can see the submission. Similarity check has been there. It is 38%. Duplicate submission is 17%. Details, they are for the editor-in-chief. In the details, we can find out that whether the paper is for a special issue of the journal, what type of anomalies have been detected, whether it has got the plagiarism or whether it is worth processing further or not. Then history, when the paper was submitted, when its PDF was formed, when it was sent to the editor-in-chief, and what is the complete lineup. So in the history, we can see the lineup. File inventory, when the paper arrived and when the paper was submitted a decision. Then we assign an editor. Then invite reviewer. Then view, review, and comment. Google Scholar title search, Google Scholar PubMed search, submit editor decision. This is the last point which we have to do. And if we are trying to send an email, we want to inform the author, handling editor, or the editorial office, then we send an email. This is the article type and article title like this. Then this is the list of editors, just a small list I have given just for reference, that these editors are assigned by the editor-in-chief, the paper goes to them, and ultimately they undergo all practices which I have just told. Then peer review process is a fundamental aspect for quality management. And you know that in 1700, the review process was first conceptualized, and it is irreplaceable and fundamental aspect. Because without undergoing review, we can never know that what are the shortcomings in our paper. If I write a paper and I used to, see it again and again, then during 2 or 3 times of research or review, I will be able to find out many things and will see that it can be corrected in a different way. So either you review yourself or your supervisor reviews or your colleague reviews, you will find lot of anomalies, and ultimately if it undergoes a rigorous review process either by yourself or by your friends or by your teacher, then ultimately it get refined, and this refinement is the review process. If it is done by you, it is well and good, then the paper will be published or accepted quickly. And if it is not done by you, then ultimately it is sent to the subject expert for review. Peer review methodologies include single peer review system, where is only one review and we can accept the paper or reject the paper. Double blind peer review, you never know that to whom the paper has been sent. That is the double peer review system. 2 reviews or 2 review reports are essential, and double open and transparent peer review system. This is a system which has been adopted by few journals. What they do, if you have submitted a paper, they request you to submit the names of few reviewers. Suppose you are submitting a paper, then you are asked by the journal that you kindly give 4 or 5 names of the subject expert to whom the paper can be sent. What do you think? You will always give the names of those who are your close friend and will ask them that you kindly submit the report as early as possible. And what will they do? They will not go through it critically. Since the paper has been submitted by their friend, they will send, it can be accepted or a minor revision can be done, or it is a wonderful paper, it's a very good piece of work, and ultimately the paper will be published. What do you say? It is a biased practice. And many a time it happens that if the journal is asking the reviewer's name from the author, then ultimately the review system is biased. It is not perfect. It is not foolproof. So in our journal, we never ask the names of reviewers from any author. Therefore, it is called as a blind peer review system. The editors know that to whom the paper has been sent, but the authors, they never know. And collaborative reviews, because a large number of journals are coming up and a huge mushrooming is there, a large number of journals are there, and the growth of the journals and publication of paper is unprecedented. The number of papers are increasing. So in order to see that the papers are reviewed timely and they are published timely, a collaborative review system is generated. The peer review is very important, and that should be undertaken by using COPE guidelines. Do you know that what is COPE? It is Committee on Publication Ethics. That we will talk slightly later, that publication ethics is an important part. So in peer review, we need in the digital age impact, the aim of the peer review process is to refine the papers. Plagiarism check is there, as I already told. Quality of manuscript, what type of paper is there. Then rejection rate, it is very high, as our previous speaker has already told that the rejection is very high. And in our journal also, it is reaching near 80%. But before we reject the paper, we suggest them that this paper can be refined further. And if the author wants, they can submit it to our journal or to any other journal. It helps the author in refining the paper, in improving the paper. So rejection does not mean the paper is absolutely of no use. The paper has got good content, but that content has to be designed properly so that it can be attracted or it can receive attraction by the readers. So there are various stages. Desk rejection, I told you. Then the second stage is that suitable reviewers are selected, then their reports are obtained, and final stage is the submission of result. The use of artificial intelligence has become very common nowadays. It is very advantageous technology, and along with artificial intelligence, many of you are using ChatGPT. Now, the artificial intelligence can be used for administrative tasks. Means it can help the editors in checking the plagiarism, which component has been taken from some other journal, from some other paper, and has been used as a cut and paste. So the editors, they can identify, and the compliance of the manuscript, that from which manuscript it has been taken, that can also be identified. And with the help of AI, we can reject the wasteful reviews. Sometimes it has become a practice that instead of going for real research or instead of waiting for the real research outcome, many of the younger scientists or even the elder scientists, they are in the practice of making cut and paste and preparing a review article. And when I was preparing this presentation for our esteemed faculty members over here, I was going through our editorial manager portal, and more than 24 review articles were submitted, and all of them were either research scholars, were assistant professors having no publication on the field of review article, and they were having no experience on the topic concerned. This is a pitiable situation. Unless we develop an expertise on a particular topic, we should refrain writing a review article. Because a review article is a torch-bearing article. It provides you an insight of the research, that what type of research has already been done so far, and what further avenues are there for research. So you should always consider them very properly. So the review articles, they should not be written by the younger faculty. This is my humble submission. They should focus on the real research and should start publishing the researches. AI model must be trustworthy. There are many tools who are able to identify that how much content in the paper is AI generated. But even those tools, they fail to identify the percentage of AI generated matter. So in AI generated matter, in our office and in our publisher's office, we are trying to identify the AI generated content. You can use it for grammatical correction. You can use it for writing the cover letter. You can use it for writing general things, or you can use it for finding out the references related to your paper. But the malpractices should be avoided. It should be used in a very authentic manner and very honestly, because technologies are not to be overcome by us. The technologies are to be used for betterment of science. If the technologies are overcoming you, then ultimately you have become a slave of technology and you will not be able to publish the real research because you will never know. Therefore, it is called as artificial intelligence. This intelligence has been created by you, by the human being, by using his own intelligence, and this is the artificial intelligence. Whatever data you feed, that will be produced. I give you one example. I was searching about my journal Vegetos, that kindly inform that who is the editor-in-chief of that journal. Some SP Chaturvedi was given. And I was surprised that who is Mr. S.P. Chaturvedi, who replaced me as editor-in-chief in the journal. So I wrote him that the information is wrong. And it should be authenticated by our publisher and by the database that who is the editor-in-chief of the journal. Then artificial intelligence, they corrected immediately that sorry, and we have corrected it as S.K. Bhatnagar. So whatever data you are feeding, that data is reflecting back. So do not trust it blindly, and it should be used for certain points or for gathering certain informations, but should not depend totally on these informations. Now the shortfall is peer review process remain an integral part. Lack of availability of reviewer is one very important drawback. We do not find the reviewers, the people, they do not want to waste time or to consume time for reviewing. That is the biggest hurdle. So we are not able to find potential reviewers many a time. The artificial intelligence is one tool which I told you, it is being misused by certain sectors. The reviewers, they should be given a training that how to review a paper properly. Once they accept reviewing the paper, it should be done in a very meticulous manner. Then impact factor and research ethics, I will go through very hurriedly because the impact factor, as you know, it was introduced in by Eugene Garfield. And the impact factor is that the research which you have produced, the research which you have published, how much impact it has got into the audience or what impact it has in the reader's mind. I mean, suppose one paper which was published in 1932 is being referred even today. It means it has impacted you. Every time you are using that reference in all of your researches, it means the impact factor is very high. If your research, whatever research you have done, is not attracting the readers, is not being read by anybody, then the impact factor of your research will be zero. If your research is cited by many journals, by many authors, its citation score will increase. Citation index will increase. If it is not cited by anybody, it means they are understanding that your research is of no use and that cannot be cited anywhere. So you should use different type of database as Scopus. I told you that Vegetos is a member of COPE. COPE is a committee for publication ethics. Whatever wrong has been done by the authors, whatever complaint has been received about the ethical issues, that ultimately comes to our committee. We raise a question, and in the committee it is decided whether the author should be warned, whether the author should be blacklisted, or the paper should be retracted, or the author, they should not be allowed to submit a paper in these journals. So this is a very serious type of committee, and it is governed by UK. You can see the address, Cope, New King Court, Tollgate, Chandler's Ford in UK, and Vegetos, our journal, is a member of COPE. These are different guidelines of COPE, that how the paper should be prepared and what guidelines should be followed. You can go through the website and can see that what are the guidelines. Misconduct is also taken into account, that if a research scholar is having or has been penalized by the supervisor under misconduct, or he has shown a misconduct with the faculty members, or the faculty member, vice versa, or the faculty member has harassed the research scholar, all these things, they come to the COPE. And ultimately, through the institution is inquired about it, that what type of ethical issues has been developed between the teacher and taught, between the guide and the student, or what type of fault has been identified. So the institution is also asked about it. So the COPE retraction, if the paper is found that it has been copied, even after your retirement, as my previous speaker has already told, that the retraction is like a shadow. It never leaves you, even if you are retired. If the paper has been prepared by using cut and paste practice, it has been copied from somewhere, it has undergone plagiarism, or you have used the data of somebody else, it can be reported at any time during your career, and you can be penalized even after your superannuation, even after your services are terminated, or you are superannuated or left the job or somewhere, then it can be taken into consideration. It is a very serious issue. So COPE guidelines are very strict, and all the authors, they should follow while submitting a paper. There is a code of conduct, and that code of conduct applies not only on the student, but on the supervisor, on the institution, and on the journal as well. And the plagiarism and all these things under code of conduct, they are proceeding for retraction of the paper. Then Vegetos is also a member of DORA. DORA is a declaration on research assessment. This committee identifies that what type of research has been done, whether it is worthwhile or not, whether it should be considered for publication or not. So Vegetos is also a member of DORA, Declaration on Research Assessment. These are the countries' statistics for Vegetos to which I am taking ahead as editor-in-chief. In 2025, there are various countries who surf our website and have downloaded the papers from it. The site score at the moment for 2025 is 0.25. It is a Q3 journal, which is considered as one of the best journal. And there are three categories you can see: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So Q4 journals are one of the best journals, and Q3 is the next to them. So we are proud to be in Q3 category. So these are the meetings which we used to perform. Vegetos received a Growth Impact Award in 2025 by Springer Nature in a meeting at Delhi. These are the vice presidents of Springer Nature who conferred this award to Vegetos, and I was fortunate to receive this award from the vice presidents of Springer Nature. These are the teams who work in India for Vegetos on behalf of Springer Nature. And these are the portals who just attract you that research paper can be published in 2 days. So just do not get attracted. These are the prey. And if you are trapped by them, ultimately you will be nowhere and you will be publishing the fake research in them. Of course, you can get the temporary benefit, but ultimately you will be a loser. And I think nobody would like to be a loser, and they will always prefer a good quality of research and will go for quality work rather than the quantity of papers. So thank you all very much. I think I finished my lecture within time. So thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enriching and insightful session and making us understand the nitty-gritty of the peer review process, which is indeed very essential and helpful for all of us. Thank you so much, sir. And now the forum is open for question and answers. If anyone has any doubt, they can please ask. Both offline and online participants, you can ask the question. Any question related to the publications, publication strategies, peer review process, choice of journal, any query, whatever you have in your mind, you can ask, sir. Sir has got a rich experience in this field.
They can always send it to my email. I will be happy to answer them.
Yes, sir, definitely.
It is drskb2000@yahoo.com. drskb2000@yahoo.com. I think everybody got it.
Yes,
so they
sir.
can always write, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Yes, sir, definitely.
There are only two things. If you have got more questions, then your lecture has been taken up very warmly. Or if you are having no questions, then also your lecture has either been understood completely or not understood at all. What may be the scene that you will better know.
Sir, there is one question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Any discount or waivers policy for publication in Vegetos?
Yeah, for a developing country, we are having, it's a very good question because it has been asked to me by many of our authors. Actually, Springer for the developing countries, they have already reduced it to 50%. As you can see on our website, www.vegitosindia.org, that is already there. Second thing, that we are the member of ONAS, One Nation, One Subscription. So One Nation, One Subscription is a policy where the government is providing funds to the institutions. If they are submitting the APC to their institution, respective institution, and if the respective institutions are under ONAS, ONOS, One Nation, One Subscription policy, then ultimately their APC will be borne by them. First thing. Second thing, they will have not to pay anything. Our journal is in hybrid mode. So in Vegetos, the papers are published in two modes. One is open access, another is non-open access or subscription mode. If it is published in open access, then ultimately APC is involved. And for that APC, either the author, they pay to the Springer Nature themselves or through their institution. Second thing is under subscription mode or under non-open access. So the authors, if they are publishing in Vegetos and they are opting for non-open access mode or subscription mode, they will have to pay nothing. Not even a single penny they have to pay. Their paper will be published online, and whenever their turn will come, it will be published in a hard copy or it will be published in a PDF mode. Now, one facility what Vegetos provides to its members only. If they are our life member or annual member, we provide them a user ID and password so that by logging in to our website vegetosindia.org, they can download their paper, they can download the journal, they can download the reprints and can PDF format में, and they can send it to the concerns or to all of their contacts. That is for free, no charges for our life members and for annual member. For annual member, the user ID and password is valid for 1 year only for the duration of their membership. So this is an understanding between us and Springer Nature that we can provide, we can extend this facility to only our members, not to everybody, because there will be a conflict of interest between Springer and Vegetos if we do that. So this is what the authors, they get the privilege from Vegetos.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, there is one more question.
Mhm.
What are the biggest mistake not to be committed by scholars while writing the paper?
What is? Just kindly repeat.
Yes, sir. So the question is, what are the biggest mistakes not to be committed by the scholars while writing the paper?
Yes. I was mentioning that the research scholars, they should strictly follow the guidelines which are printed already either on the website or in the journal for authors. They should go step by step. Mean all the guidelines they should be followed so that the process of review will be faster. Otherwise, the paper will keep on rotating, that will go back to the author, they will revise it again, that it will be seen, evaluated, and it will go again back to the author. Then there are few mandatory requirements. Particularly in Vegetos, we have the mandatory requirement like author contribution. Say you have given 5 authors. The list of authors, you have involved 5 authors. Then what are their contribution? That has to be given. All the 5 authors, they have to be specified that what is their contribution in writing a paper. Second thing, data availability. If the editor wants to verify your data, where from the data can be obtained. The third thing, that there should be no conflict of interest between the authors. Fourth thing, that the funding source should be declared. because there is a conflict of interest. If you are funded, your research is funded, and you are not declaring it that it has been funded by DBT, DST, or by any other funding source, then you have to declare it. Fourth thing, that if you are one of the editor of the journal, you have to write that there is no competing interest. Competing interest means that the editor has not reviewed it himself. He doesn't know that to whom the paper has been sent. The author, if the editor is an author, then he should not know that to whom the paper has been sent. So that is called as no competing interest. Another very important thing that the author should not follow: addition or deletion after the paper is processed. Addition of a new author or deletion of an author from the list is an offense after the paper or the decision has been made. If somebody has submitted the paper and immediately after submission they are deleting an author or adding an author, then an undertaking has to be given that I have got no objection if my name is deleted, or I have no objection if my name is added, because it leads to malpractices. In order to avoid it, suppose the paper is accepted and somebody comes that your paper has already been accepted, kindly add my name into it. For any vested interest, the name will be added. Then ultimately it will come under COPE, or it will be an ethical violation. If some animal has been used for experiment for any reason, or if some ethical issues they have been taken into consideration, then the statement should be given. These are few points which the author should take into consideration before submitting a paper.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a detailed explanation. So there is one more question, that what is the membership fees of
That is already on the website. She can search the website vegitosindia.org, and there is a link membership. So
Okay,
they can click on it and can see that what is the annual membership, student membership, life membership, institutional membership, and what are the benefits of taking these memberships. Everything is there in detail. So they can
Right.
search the website and will find everything.
Right, sir. The detailed information is there on the website, so everybody has access to that. They can go there and they can check it out.
And it's an open forum. They can always write to me either on my personal email ID, or they can
Yes.
write on vegitosinfo@gmail.com. That will
Right.
also come to us. vegitosinfo@gmail.com.
Okay, sir. Right.
Any other query?
Yes, sir. These were the few questions which were being asked, and you have really given the detailed explanation for each one of them. So
Thank you very much. I am grateful to the organizers, especially to Professor Vinay Sharma, for
Sir,
giving me an opportunity, and you being the comparing this session so nicely. So I thank you all very much for this
thank you so
interaction.
much, sir. There is, I think, one query. One person is asking something.
good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
Sir, actually, I just wanted to ask related to some journals. There are few journals which are like they're asking for only empirical study. And being a law student, so how can we like give some empirical study based to that journals? Because major journals are there who are asking like they want only the like empirical study only. And
What do you
actually,
mean by empirical study? What type of study they
sir,
specifically want?
actually, recently I have submitted one of the paper to a journal, which was Q3. So, वहाँ से उन्होंने reply किया. They have said that these are few incorporated points. अगर आपको भेजना है तो आप ये incorporation करके आप इसको resubmit कर सकते हो, or else you can go to some other journal. So, my paper was fully like it was a comparative based paper, and they wanted something that is graph based, or like some or the other thing which is related to empirical study. So what are all things can we add in that thing for the journals?
Actually, there are certain guidelines and that vary from journal to journal. We particularly do not require such type of things, but some of the journals, they do not want a very text matter. Suppose you have submitted a table, then they want it in a graphical mode or they want in a different mode. So there are certain journals which have got their own guidelines. So you will have to abide with their guideline. If you want to publish the paper as such, as in the format you have submitted, then you can find out or can modify the paper according to the guideline of some other journal and can submit it there. Because, there are many journals who entertain papers in a different format. And if that paper if it is not in the proper format, then they ultimately send it back. So for empirical studies, they might be having this clause in their guideline. So you have to see into it.
I think
Right,
going
sir.
for the journals, where it is not, I mean, you have to choose the right kind of journal for your study.
Yeah.
I think that's the question.
Yeah.
So if it
Some-
doesn't fit in that journal, find out some other journal, simple.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens that suppose Vegetos is having a wider spectrum. So we entertain many of the things except the studies on animals. So we do not entertain the pharmacognosy type of papers or medical based papers because we do not have an expertise to evaluate them. That is not, it is not the reason that the paper is of substandard quality or something is missing. But since we are not having the proper editorial board for that, we are not competent enough to evaluate such type of paper, so we send it back to the authors. Suppose some of the papers are of medicinal plants, some papers are on pharmacognosy, some of the journals are based on different types of studies, some are based on algae or taxonomic studies. So you can choose the papers accordingly and can submit the paper to those journals. This is
Absolutely. It has been a wonderful session, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we, in fact, were highly enriched by your experience, long-lasting experience. Probably I'm correct if I would say that you have been the longest in terms of number of years as the editor-in-chief of a very, very reputed Scopus Index journal. Globally, I think you would be number one if one goes by the number of years.
Thank you,
And,
sir. Thank you very much for your kind words.
Stands very high, and as you said, you are maintaining very, very high standards of Indian science, taking the flag forward. And I think that is very, very important because research ethics these days are the area that is the one which is highly compromised. And in these difficult times when there is a very liberal use of AI and it's very difficult for an editor to find fake, blah, 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 so many things are there. So in these difficult times, indeed, it's a global service, and especially for our country, which we are doing to keep the very, very high standards of the research publications by way of being editor-in-chief of your journal. So
Sir, I'm fortunate to have a very learned team of editors, and they are very helpful and very dedicated and meticulously working for the journal because it all depends on the team or the group or friends you are working with. If they observe slackness in reviewing the papers or in maintaining the quality, ultimately the journal goes down. And if the editorial team is meticulous and they are working with great dedication, then ultimately the journal reaches to good height. And this journal is an outcome of the teamwork which we are having. And I am simply a small tool who is trying to manage everything as long as we can. But ultimately, the journal has attained a good thing, and we are looking forward to have new heights to attain. And with the cooperation of the editors like you, like friends like you, and other colleagues who are online here, a good research is the soul of the journal. Good quality research and the real research is the soul of the journal. So we are not able to compromise with anything. And there are many journals who are undergoing retraction and mass retraction, particularly from a very big publisher. I should not name it here, but a lot of papers have been retracted recently. But we are fortunate due to our teamwork that Vegetos has never encountered any such mishappening or any such activity like retraction or something. So it has never been reported for Vegetos, and we hope that it will continue as a good journal for scientific community. Thank you, Professor
Yeah, that's
Sharma,
great. Yeah.
very much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you, S.K. Bhatnagar, sir, and special thanks to Professor Vinay Sharma, sir, for sparing his valuable time. So now we come to the end of today's sessions. I must say that all the sessions have been highly informative and impactful for all of us. So once again, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers, Professor Vinay Sharma, sir, faculty members, research scholars, students, and all the participants for their active involvement. So we look forward again for your presence tomorrow for the final day of this FDP. Again, the sessions will resume tomorrow at 2 p.m. sharp.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
once again. Look forward to see you all again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
sir.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.